Welcome to Drive Culture. I'm Jonathan Rivers, and today we have the 2019 Porsche 718 Boxster GTS. And I'm going to tell you why this might be the perfect spec for this sports car convertible. So we'll go over the exterior, the interior, the powertrain, and of course, take it for a drive. So if this is content you're after, or you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. And with that, let's get after it. So let's talk about this particular vehicle, because like any other Porsche, it's heavily spec'd and optioned, and there's going to be a lot of stuff to cover. Let's talk about when this car launched in 2019. Now, the base MSRP at that time was $82,800. But this particular spec that we have here today is actually $104,150. So yeah, about 20 grand an option, which in the Porsche world is completely normal, right? You can actually even double that or more. Now, if you've been on the channel, you've also known that we've already reviewed the 718 Boxster GTS 4.0, as well as the 718 Cayman GT4. So now you're gonna have a complete variety of the P cars on this channel and really see which one's best for you. So let us know down in the comments below. Do you like seeing these 718s on the channel? Do you want to see other specs, other combinations, or even other P cars? Let us know your comments down below. So now we're going to go ahead and do a complete deep dive into the exterior of the 718 Boxster GTS. So immediately, let's talk about the color that we have here. So it's agate gray metallic. It's a standard Porsche color, but man, does it look fantastic on this particular spec of vehicle. Now inside, there's a real treat to the interior colors, but we'll save that here for a second. But man, does this color just shine under this sun. It looks fantastic. And with being the GTS model, you're gonna notice lots of gloss black and matte black accents throughout. So first and foremost, let's look at these headlights, man. They look fantastic. Now, normally inside the housing, it's gonna be all chrome, right? It's gonna be very bright, but because it's a GTS, it's darkened out. And man, does it just look sinister, right? It looks really, really cool. Now, you true 718 fans and Porsche files, you might look at that side marker next to it and go, wait a minute, why is it that color? Well, to be fair, the owner of this vehicle actually swapped that out. In fact, that's the only modification to this vehicle. So that piece is actually normally orange, right, as part of US requirements, but the owner swapped it out for that clear black look to match the headlights and the taillights, which we'll get to here in a sec. But again, with this being a GTS, that whole lower front fascia is exclusive. And man, does it look awesome, right? There's some matte black accents. You got great features like 4 parking sensors up front, the LED fog lights, and everything down below is functional and open. You can actually see the radiators down below. So looks really, really good. And again, like I said, if you watch our other Boxster GTS 4.0 video, you'll remember that I pointed out that that owner actually put in additional mesh down below to help from rocks and things getting back there. And now that I see it without it and I can see the radiators exposed, I actually understand why he did that. So again, up front, this car looks fantastic. Got that awesome Porsche crest up front. But next, let's start to make our way to the side. So this car has an awesome wheel and tire package to it. So first of all, let's talk about the wheel design. Man, they look fantastic. That's actually part of the GTS package. So you get these, black satin finish wheels, you get the black lug nuts, the awesome colored Porsche crest there. But the wheel and tire package, like I said, is really good. It's a staggered setup. We're working with Pirelli P0 tires that are 235, 35 ZR20s up front. And piercing behind there, you can see that huge brake package, right? So you've got cross-drilled rotors, made it to 6 piston red calipers that say Porsche up front. So definitely going to be the business, and we'll definitely try out those brakes during the drive review. But as we make our way alongside and we just kind of take the whole profile in, again, I know there's a lot of people that like the 981 generation or the previous Boxster generations, but man, for me, I think they nailed it with the 718. It just looks sleek and sexy, top up or top down. Now, down below on the door, you're gonna see that the owner still has the GTS sticker there. That's a really, really nice touch. Of course, that could be deleted if the owner didn't want it, but I like that they added it there because admittedly from the side, most people may not know that this is something pretty special. Also, you got those huge intakes there, completely functional. You can see the cooling elements behind that as well. But now let's start to look at the back wheel and tire package. So what you'll notice is you have a much wider tire in the back. So where you had 235s up front, now you're working with 265, 35 ZR20s in the back. So the wheel size is the same front to rear, but it's the tires that get much wider in the back. You'll also notice that you still have a really aggressive brake package. You can see the red calipers, you can see the cross-drilled rotors. So again, I'm guessing this thing stops on a dime. Can't wait to test that out. But next, let's start to make our way to the rear of the vehicle, which for me might be my favorite view. Now, again, with this being a GTS, there's some elements that are darked out. So the taillights, for example, there in the center, that would typically have a chrome accent. That's actually black right now, and you get that cool, clear housing. So really, really unique, where a lot of the other Boxers have the traditional red taillights. Then you can't miss it in the back, right? It says Porsche, says it's really nice, nicely integrated into that spoiler, which we'll talk about. But down below, you have the model designation. So it's 718 Boxster GTS, and it's in a matte black font. I really like that. I know sometimes people will delete that, but I really like that it says that. And of course, as you make your way down, you got 4 parking sensors in the rear, and you've got that sport exhaust system, which comes standard with the GTS. Now, they're also a dark chrome finish exclusive to the GTS. So again, there's not too many elements that stand out or scream that this is a really special model, but for those in the know and for those that love P cars, it'll absolutely be instantly recognizable as something pretty special. So I think we've covered just about everything here on the exterior. So next, let's go ahead and hop inside to talk about the interior. All right, guys, here we are inside the 718 Boxster GTS, and it is an awesome place to be, right? Just like I said in the other review of the Boxster GTS 4.0, obviously with the Cayman GT4, I mean, Porsche just does a really good, job with interior design, ergonomics, materials. But the thing is the fact that you can customize so many elements and kind of make it your own is what I also really appreciate. So let's talk about all the options that are custom spec'd for this particular vehicle. So first and foremost, we were talking about how awesome the agate gray metallic exterior was. But man, paired with this interior, it might be one of my favorite specs thus far. So what the owner opted to do was to go with a black leather material up top with red contrast stitching that carries down to the center console, also along the door linings. And then the lower half, they went with a Bordeaux, like a red, dark red interior, wine red interior almost, and it looks fantastic. Now, one of the other things, and I have never seen this before, and no matter if it's a 911 or 718, the owner actually had the interior trim wrapped in leather as well. Normally this is like a silver finish. This is also where these kind of crazy cup holders are hidden away. They actually had it matched to this red interior. I've never seen that before. So let us know down in the comments below if you've seen that. Apparently that's an ultra rare option from Porsche. But like I said, the black and red, the red contrast stitching, man, it is a fantastic spec. Now, obviously, there's some other really good features in here as well. So let's talk about the seats, and hopefully you can see them here right next to me. So these are the 18-way power seats. Now, the other vehicle that I drove, the GTS 4.0, had the 14-way sport seats. So these are not only have additional adjustability, but they're shaped differently, right? So the 18-way seats come with this additional bolstering in the shoulder area, and you notice it the second you sit in. So definitely going to do a better job of holding you in place, but also going to be a little bit more aggressive for something like daily driving. But they do feel really good. They're also 3-stage heated and ventilated. So really, really premium sport seats. You also have driver memory setting over here. We have power folding mirrors. And we also have a premium 10 speaker Bose audio system. So I'll try that out in the drive, give my impressions, but generally the Bose systems in Porsche are really, really good. Now up front, we do have the multi-function steering wheel. It does let you control things like your volume, the little digital gauge cluster that you have here. And again, I just really like the exposed bolts, right? And just the design that they did. This is the car with the PDK. We'll talk about that in a sec. So of course there's the paddle shifters, and down here off to the right is the dynamic drive mode. So we'll also talk about that during the drive review. But up front, you got a 190 mile an hour speedometer. This particular car's got less than 16,000 miles, so it's been really well kept. And in the center for the RPM gauge, it's that black face with GTS font. So it looks really, really good. Now in the center, you're gonna notice that little clock there. And again, if you're familiar with Porsches, you're gonna know that means Sport Chrono Package, which not only gives you this lap timer, looks really awesome, it also gives you launch control. So that's a really, really nice feature as well. Now, admittedly, again, this is a 2019, so some of the newer models might have different or better infotainments, but it still has a really good, infotainment, Porsche's communication system, navigation built in. You do get climate control functions here as well. Down here in the center, there's a few buttons. We'll talk about what they do, but you have a button for the suspension, traction control, the button to lower and raise that rear spoiler and back, right? So again, if you see someone driving around with that spoiler lifted, that's because they're trying to show off and they push that button. Below that, there's also the sport exhaust button, which comes standard on the GTS trim, and the button to turn off the idle stop function. Of course, here in the center, you got controls to open and close the roof. We'll show you how that works. And then even, not that I don't think anyone's gonna smoke in this car, but there's a little cigarette pocket right there. In the center armrest here, you got a lot of space and a single USB-A port for charging. So overall, again, this is a really premium interior. I really enjoy driving the GTS 4.0, so I can't wait to get behind the wheel of this. But next, let's go ahead, hop out, and talk about the different cargo, both the front and the rear. All right, next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space in the 718 Boxster GTS. Now, as always, you've got the awesome Porsche key fob that looks like a Porsche, right? So there's obviously a button to open the front trunk or the front. So it's pretty easy. You just give it one push. Now, admittedly, there is this little latch down here, a lever that you have to pull to open it up. But once you do, you realize you have a lot of space down here. Actually, there's 5.2 cubic feet of space up front. So it's pretty good size. I mean, you could easily fit like one or two like small to medium sized suitcases in here. And especially if it's like a, soft duffel bag or something like that, you could definitely stuff your stuff in here for a short weekend trip. Now, also, you've got it spelled out Porsche up here, which is really nice. You do have, your window washer fluid cap. So, there is some access, but everything is generally closed off. So this is the front. Next, let's go ahead and talk about the cargo space in the rear. All right, so now we're in the rear. We're going to check out the cargo space there. So again, you have another button on the key fob, and with a quick push, this one, there's no latch. It just springs open. And again, you'll find that you actually have a lot of space back here. So in the rear, there's actually 4.4 cubic feet of space. So again, combine that with what you got up front. I mean, this is actually a usable sports car and a convertible at that, right? Now, inside, it's very nice material, nice carpet. You do have access to the oil, but I'm gonna give a shout out to one of our users because he dinged me on my other GTS 4.0 video where I said it would be easy to change the oil. Apparently, it's not easy to change the oil; it's quite difficult. But if you ever had to top it off, you could at least have easy access to it right here. Now, the other thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and roll into the powertrain of this car. Now, and I mentioned this in the other video, including the GT4, the one ding I'll give these cars is you can't actually see the engine, right? It's a mid-engine vehicle and it's really nicely tucked away, so you don't get to see the actual intake, the heart of the beast, but it does have a beastie engine in it. So this one, being the GTS, has the 2.5 liter turbocharged Boxer 4, and it makes 365 horsepower and 309 pound-feet of torque. And in this case, it's made it to a 7-speed PDK dual clutch transmission, and of course it's rear wheel drive only. So this thing is going to get up, and it will be really interesting to compare it, knowing that I've already driven the Boxster GTS 4.0 as well as the Cayman GT4 with their very large, powerful, naturally aspirated engine. But there's no better way than to prove that out than to get behind the wheel. So next, let's go ahead and take this thing for a drive.
All right, guys, here we are inside the 718 Boxster GTS, and we're gonna go ahead and take this thing for a drive. So foot on the brake, twist the handle. It's nice. It's like a little fob that's already built in, so you can have the key fob in your pocket, but that stays there, which is really, really nice. It is a super hot day outside, so I'm gonna have the AC on for a little bit. Try to turn it down a little bit so you can still hear me. But let's go ahead and put these Bordeaux red seat belts on. So again, that was a nice option. Good, it matches the interior, and looks really, really nice. So again, we'll go through and we'll cycle through the drive modes. We'll play with the transmission, and we'll even open up the roof here so you can see what that open top driving experience is all about. So I'm going to go ahead and put it into D. It does give you your gear as an indicator in the meter, which is really nice, and the parking brake automatically disengages. So just got to get out of this parking lot here. But you know, one of the things that I'm really going to be interested in is just, you know, the kind of around town performance. I mean, we're going to get up to some really good like back roads that we're going to test this thing on. And given that I've already driven the GTS 4.0 and the crazy Cayman GT4, I really want to drive this standard GTS trim to understand its, you know, daily driving characteristics, its overall performance, and critically how it sounds against that crazy naturally aspirated 4-liter engine that's in those other 718 platform cars. But as I'm driving already, you know, the one thing that surprised me in the last car, the GTS 4.0 Boxster, and this car, is that the NVH is really good. The ride comfort, the noise, vibration, harshness on this car is fantastic. It's really hard to believe that this car is a convertible. I mean, you're getting no sound from above you, right? The fact that it's a, you know, the roof's been cut off, that it's a cloth top, man, the sound deadening, all the materials in here must have been really well tuned to give a great driving experience. Also, with the engine note at this normal mode, it's pretty quiet, to be honest, guys. Like, you really don't know you're driving a sports car just kind of tooling around town. I mean, I'm doing, you know, 42 miles an hour, just kind of cruising here, not getting a lot of sound from the engine or the exhaust. It's a pretty docile experience, which I'm not dinging. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, because clearly you have other drive modes here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn to the right. There's this little dial on the steering wheel. That puts me into sport mode. And what that did is automatically, okay, there it is. There's the exhaust, because it put on the sport exhaust as a default in this mode, and it also turned off the idle stop function as well. And instantly now I can hear the exhaust. Steering got a little bit heavier. It's still not overly heavy. Just the chassis tuning and the levels of mechanical grip that this car has, it's just so well balanced. It's one of the best driver's cars on the market, and you really start to feel that as you work your way up the different drive modes. Also, we do have a Sport Plus driving mode, so I want to try that out here. So again, there's this little dial on the steering wheel, so if I rotate that, that all of a sudden you see it kind of kicked up the gears again, and what it did is it also turned on the PASM suspension, so the Porsche active suspension management system. And the crazy thing about that is that system actually lowers the ride height of the vehicle 10 millimeters compared to the standard Boxster. But this one has the PASM Sport version, and that actually lowers it an additional 10 millimeters. So this is 20 millimeters lower than a standard Boxster. So we're low to the ground. Again, that's helping with the driving dynamics, that chassis tuning. But when you push that button for the suspension, you definitely notice a different level of firmness and compliance in the overall chassis. So it's a big difference with that on and off. And it's nice because you could sit here and push the button by itself, but you definitely notice that. So I'm going to push it to the left for manual, first gear. Let's go ahead. 60. Yeah, man, it sounds good. Oh yeah, man, that 7-speed PDK is fantastic, right? That dual clutch transmission is so fast. fast. I talked about that in the GTS 4.0. It's definitely one of the fastest, best shifting DCTs on the market, bar none. And again, don't get me wrong, I love my manuals. I'm the first one to say it, and I love driving the manual in that GT4. I think, of course, that's how I would have to get that car, but I would say for either this GTS or that GTS 4.0, man, this PDK is perfect. It's a great daily driver. It doesn't stumble around town, but it absolutely rips when you're out here on the canyon. So I'm actually going to shift. Look at that. It lets you shift down into first gear. And I'm going to go ahead and give it a blast. And like I said, let's hear the engine. I do have the roof up, but let's go. Yeah, it's got good induction noise. Yeah, and it does like the rev, guys. It does like the rev, and the chassis and the dynamics just make for an amazing driving experience. But honestly, I think this thing's gonna sound even better with the roof down. So I'm gonna go ahead. People behind me might be mad because it does take a few seconds to put the roof down, but there she goes. She's down. Let's go ahead and take this thing for a blast now. First gear. Oh yeah, having the roof down is a huge difference. I mean, you get a lot more exhaust now. And man, oh yeah, the roof down is the way to go. I mean, it's a Boxster, right? Otherwise, you're gonna get a Cayman and call it a day. But I mean, there's something to be said about open top driving, especially in a beautiful day like today. And let's hear it again with that sport exhaust, roof down. Oh yeah. You just hear that, man. It sounds so good. It sounds so good. So look, it's not the 4.0. It doesn't scream. It doesn't sound like a race car engine like it did in the GTS 4.0 or the GT4. But look, it's a turbocharged engine, so you get a lot more low-end torque. It's instantly noticeable. The other car, you gotta rev it out a bit, and it sounds great when you rev it out, so that's the incentive to do it, but you have to do it to really extract the performance. Where this car, I mean, you can be just down at like 2,000 RPM, and then boom, the turbo kicks in, you got full boost, and you're on your way. So it makes a big difference. So one more time to prove that out here, just in the second gear pull. Yeah, I mean, tons of mid-range torque. Now, the other thing, and not that you're buying this car for fuel economy or whatever, but clearly the turbocharged engine is going to also do a little bit better in both the city and highway from a fuel economy performance. We'll throw the numbers down below, but for me, look, unless you really want to pay the extra, because it's going to be about 20 grand extra to get even the GTS 4.0, you might want to save it. You might want to save it and buy something else. Let's go ahead and hit this turn here. So, okay. Oh man, this car is fantastic. I say save the 20 grand. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if you got it, spend it, get the 4.0, but I don't feel like you're losing all that much out of this GTS. So again, let us know your guys' thoughts in comments down below. Let us know, you hear the backfire from the exhaust. Let us know if this is enough performance from you. Are you going in and you're dropping 20 grand more to get the GTS? Are you dropping another 20 grand on top of that to get the GT4? Let us know your guys' thoughts in comments down below. Let us know if you want to see more P cars on this channel. We're happy to bring it to you. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap up this drive video after one more blast. So here we go, guys.
All right, guys, that's a wrap. What did you think of the 2019 Porsche Boxster GTS? Is it really the perfect spec and the perfect powertrain for this platform? Again, on this channel, we've driven the Boxster GTS 4.0, as well as the Cayman GT4. And again, this car has just a different feel, right? It doesn't have that big 4-liter naturally aspirated engine. It obviously isn't as, hardcore as something like the GT4. To me, with this 2.5-liter turbocharged Boxer engine, there's lots of torque down low, real usable torque around the city, which I think might actually make it one of the best daily drivers of any of the 718 platform. So let us know your guys' thoughts down below. Also, this car, and particularly this spec, is super rare. So what I heard is that in 2019, Porsche made just under 20,000 718 Boxsters that model year, and that was for the entire world. Well, there was only 600 that were in the GTS spec, and only 400 made their way to the US. even more in this agate gray, only 60. And with that crazy Bordeaux red interior, my understanding is there's less than 5. So this is a super rare spec and an awesome, awesome driving sports car convertible. So again, if you've joined us before, thank you so much. But again, if you're new to the channel, please be sure to click that bell to subscribe to come back for more. Thanks, and we'll see you at the next episode.